Good morning, everyone, from Cynthia Rose Healing Arts Sanctuary in Monument, Colorado. It is a beautiful sunny day outside. And today, I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about with you today, but I'm going to start off with a little breathing and aligning with comfort because my back is really stiff right now. So I need this. So I'm just going to start off and hopefully some people will hop on. Oh, good morning, Sophia. So let's start with 3 long, deep breaths. 5 count in, 5 count out, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And let's get centered in our hearts right off the bat here. Okay, so one more long, deep breath. You're dropping into the field of awareness that is in the core of your being, the unified lens of the heart. Think of something that feels really yummy for you. Good morning, Sophia. Okay. So I don't know if you have any discomfort in your body, Sophia, but I do this morning. My lower back is really stiff. And the stiffness and pain is limiting my ability to move well. And it's kind of wrapping itself around and into my hips. Morning, Corey. Good morning, Corey. Thanks for joining. So we're just about to do a little exercise to breathe into our bodies. We've already done the 3 long deep breaths. Maybe you could do that. And we're going to just kind of breathe into any places in our bodies or our fields that feel any pain or discomfort or stiffness, or, if we feel stuck anywhere. Okay, so just start breathing and let's see what shows up. Good morning, Courtney. We're doing a little, we're breathing into our pain and stiffness and stuff this morning because I need that. My back's sore. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Okay, so let's just breathe together. Okay, long, deep breaths. Everybody get your nervous systems nice and calm. Okay, so now if you're noticing anywhere in your body where you have any pain or discomfort, just imagine breathing maybe like a cool breeze into that. And because my back feels tight, I'm going to imagine expansion in that area. And I can already notice, just noticing it, noticing that I can help it feel different. It's already starting to feel different. So I'm going to adjust the way that I'm sitting so I can really feel it. So Sophia's saying I've been a little more stiff since yesterday and been resting more. Yeah, and sometimes when we're resting more, that can actually make us more stiff too. So, I know for me, if I spend too long in the bed, especially laying on my back, I will have more stiffness when I get up in the morning. And usually it goes away in the first little bit, but I've already showered and I've done all kinds of things. And it's almost like that pain that happened not too long ago where it got super intense on me for a minute there. So I just want to avoid that. Okay, so anywhere where you have anything uncomfortable in your body, and maybe it's even in your thoughts, okay, breathe into that. And notice that just by opening up a dialogue with whatever that program is that you have going on, you now can feel more empowered in offering it something that it needs in order to shift to something different, because there are different states available always. Okay, so I'm getting the idea that it would be a really good idea for me to go back in time to a time when my back felt a lot better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the time when I was working with a physical therapist and chiropractor at the same time. It was after a fall that I had down the stairs, and it left me with a lot of blunt force trauma in my body. So we're breathing into pain patterns, Melissa and Stevie. So if you want to join, I've got lower back stuff going on that I don't want to identify as anything, but just feel stiff and tight and sore. So I'm going to go back into a time where I was actually getting care for that. and I got my stuff all sorted out. So I'm going to find that. So what I'm doing is I'm finding a reference point for something different in the quantum field. Again, it's already feeling warm. It's interesting because I'm noticing a lot of warmth through here. My breath is actually a little bit better. My airways feel more open. So I don't even have the intention of working with that. But what's happening is that when I'm open to accessing a different possibility state, because I've decided that I could do that, then there are an infinite number of things that could show up to shift my experience here and now that I'm perceiving. Okay, so I'm going to inform the muscles of my back to relax. Okay, so if you have tight muscles anywhere you feel sore and tight, breathe into those places and just say, relax. It's okay, you can relax now. Yeah, and that's changing it. It feels more painful right now. So it's interesting because I'm not going to judge that it feels more painful, because that means that something's happening. So I'm going to say, yeah, relax again, relax. And breathe in again and soften that sensation, that signal that's being sent to my brain that something's going on that I need to pay attention to. Okay, so there's like a soft warmth that's happening across my lower back. So I feel like I'm just going to leave that there and let that do what it's doing. And I want to find this spot where I had perfect alignment and comfort in my lower back. And there. Okay. So I can just through intention alone connect to that place, that point in time, that nodal point or reference point or placeholder for something different to integrate into my experience here and now. So I'm going to actually just bring that in. And I'm doing that in my head. And you can do this too with whatever's happening for you. And it's an intuitive process and there's no right or wrong. It's, what is the information that comes in that's useful for the dialogue that you're opening up to? Okay, so that's feeling different. The pain pattern is not as spread out as it was. It's more condensed into the structure of the SI joint, like right about, about that much of my back. Okay. So I'm going to leave that there and go to Sophia's question. We'll see what happens. Okay. Yeah. Ooh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. My entire spine is adjusting right now and cracking, and that's not normal for me. I don't usually have that much, just doing that. I don't usually have as much flexibility in my spine for it to adjust itself like that. Oh God, that feels so much better. Whew, it's really that easy. Okay. So there's still a little pain in my lower back, but it's okay. It's not all the way radiating into my hips anymore. It was feeling like somebody was like grabbing me like this. Okay. So that's good. It's better. It's not perfect, but it's better. Okay. So we want to notice that it's different in a helpful way. Okay. So Sophia's saying, help us to become more aware of what emotions are attached to our physical aches, passing, and ailments. Okay. That's a great question. And it really ties into what I'm talking about. Good morning, Randall, Nicole, and Don. Thanks for joining. Okay. So we're talking about, the manifestation of pain patterns is something that's coming up for me this morning because I woke up stiff and sore in my lower back. I've said that a few times, but for those of you who just joined, now you know what's going on. So really, I talk about this in most of my videos, and this is the reason for our alignment. When we are conscious of the understanding that we can align with different possibility states in the quantum field through mindful interaction, then we transcend the self-imposed and societally imposed and, really globally imposed limitations that we are in agreement with about our experience here, because we don't need to agree to the limitations anymore. Things are changing, and it may always have been this way, but things are changing in such a way that perhaps the access to different possibility states is more open now. I don't know. But, there are a lot of different people who are teaching this, and, with the different healing modalities and understanding of the holistic experience, we can have a greater understanding that we really are in charge of our own experience here in a co-creative agreement with a greater power. What is the greater power? Is it consciousness itself? I don't know. But if I'm not aligned with limiting beliefs, and I understand that through curiosity, imagination, and playfulness, and the willingness to be open to something different, then that really is all it takes to access something different for myself or for my clients when they come to see me. So, in answer to your question, Sophia, how do we determine why we're manifesting things in our physical experience? Okay, is basically what you're asking. So, anything that's manifesting in the physical experience is not just physical. Okay, it is. We are a dance of body, mind, and spirit. Okay, and the body is responding to our spiritual, mental, emotional, and psychological well-being. Okay, so when we have, and the thing that gets tricky about this is because the physical experience that we're having here and now is not just related to here and now, and it's not just related to this lifetime. It's related to the quantum experience that we're having in alternate lifetimes. It also ties into the epigenetics of our blood lineage. It ties into soul lineage. It ties into other possibility states, other realities that we may or may not be experiencing, and for those of you who don't align with the quantum nature of this experience here, then that may not make any sense to you. But, I've worked with this stuff for 5.5 years now, coming up on 6 years, and I have an understanding of this from personal experience. So, and healing my own body. So for those of you who don't know, I've healed a lot of things that were going on in my body prior to shifting and coming into a different state of awareness in 2014. I was diagnosed with a primary immune deficiency that I had from birth. They couldn't explain it. There were no tests that showed any reasons why this was happening for me, which is great because we didn't lock it in on anything. Thanks, Stevie. And, I was able to choose to be well, really, ultimately. And then I do the things now to support my wellness and my health on all levels. It's a very conscious process every single day. And this daily alignment is part of that. I also healed all kinds of chronic pain. There was a lot of adhesion and scarring that was present in my body that caused pain every single day. And people don't know this about me. Most people don't know this, and the people that knew me at that time didn't even know that I was in pain every day of my life in a number of different places of my body. And it was depressing. It's not how I wanted to live. And in the understanding that the things that are manifesting in the physical body tie into dis-ease. Okay. And I was taught, my first teacher was Dr. Bob. I love Dr. Bob so much. And Dr. Cecile in Indiana, and they run a wellness center there. Both of them used to be anesthesiologists for 30 plus years of their lives. And they up and left that profession because they saw that was not where they wanted to be helping people. And they traveled the world and trained with different healing practitioners and came back and opened a clinic. And they were the people, Dr. Bob specifically was the person that opened my mind within a matter of moments to all of this. And, and he said to me, all the stuff that I'm doing, you can do too. And I'm like, well, what are you even doing? And he's like, let's just call it not Western medicine. And he was so funny too, very lighthearted and sweet and loving. And, just he had the sense of humor that helps us get through all of this and understand that it doesn't need to be so heavy. So, and he explained to me that, and there's so much information about all of this out there, like Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, Louise Hay was one of the people at the forefront of all of this, and the understanding that the physical body is just trying to get our attention to the things that are happening within us that are not well. So if we have dis-ease anywhere in our experience, that then will often manifest it into disease. Okay. And what is a disease? It's anything that is detrimental to the health of the physical body. Okay. But it can also be a mental disease as well. So really it all ties together. So how then is the question, do we determine what are the contributing factors to the things that are showing up in our physical experience that are not pleasant? We open the dialogue. And this is why it was a good number of years ago. It was before I even moved into the sanctuary here that I was asking, my inner knowing, it's like it's not really out here, but I was having the conversation with, that greater version of me that knows more than I do down here or in here, out here. I don't know. And I was saying, what do I call this thing that I'm doing? Like, what do I do? I've trained in a whole bunch of different modalities, but I don't want to slap a label on myself. I don't want to be seen in a box. Like I'm not boxing myself in on any of this. And a lot of what I do is founded in my studies, lifetime studies of human behavior, including a couple of years of psychology in university. And the human psyche fascinates me, but I haven't done a lot of studying of information that's available out there. My studies are direct. My studies are my most valued guinea pig is me. and really observing myself and how I interact with my world, the world around me, and what are my thought patterns, and how do I move into a place of healthier thought patterns, and what are the pathologies that I'm exhibiting, and where are they coming from, and why are these patterns repeating in my experience, and like really examining my own reactions to things and responses to things, and then also really really watching other people and how that even just the little nuances of human behavior and why we do the things we do. And, again, most of this, my understanding does not come from books. It comes from personal experience that I've had directly with, my own thoughts, really. So, when we are self-aware, that is the first thing key to anything, okay, to living a better life. Be self-aware, number one, and number two, be kind to yourself and your self-awareness. Okay. That's sometimes a really tough one because we have a lot of really detrimental programming. So, and then it's a slightly more complex process to get to the bottom of. Well, it can be a very complex process if I'm going to be honest about it. And sometimes we do need a skilled and trained practitioner to help us understand, at least for now, until we get to a point where we're all doing this and we understand how. But sometimes we need a practitioner to help us find the things and do the detective work as to what the core programs are and where they're coming from that are creating the physical stuff here and now. So in answer to your question, really what it's about is, where I was going with all that is transformational, what I call transformational dialogue, which is what I'm calling what I'm doing. Because when I'm having a dialogue with another person, okay, or another part of myself, a client sitting in front of me or myself, okay, we're opening up a conversation between all aspects of that individuated self, okay? So all of the information from every experience that self has ever had is contained in torsion fields in their field. Okay. So if a person is, if we could define the experience of one, let's call it a soul. Okay. So one soul or one self as a morphic field of information, that morphic field of information contains all of the information necessary for us to do the detective work that we need to do, because it's not really out there. Yeah, it is, but it's not. All of the information is accessible in that person's field. Okay. And we can call it subconscious. That's very mind. Okay. But the experience that we're having here is of the mind, and yes, we can do it from a heart-centered presence, but the reason that we can have the experience we're having here is because we have a mind, to observe with and to interact with ourselves and everything else with. So, the mind can notice that maybe there was, let's say you have a pain pattern that shows up in your left hip when you are 48 years old. Okay. And it just shows up out of the blue. You haven't had a trauma. You never had a car accident. You didn't, nothing. And you can't explain it. The doctors can't explain it. They're like, we don't really know. And it's not even really physiological, but it's a pain pattern that's happening. So you can breathe into that pain, okay, because your body's trying to talk to you. And you can ask, what do I need to understand about this? What is my body trying to tell me? Good morning, everyone. And then listen to the answer that's coming from your field, okay? So you are quantum intelligence, okay? So when you start opening the dialogue and you ask the question, what is this all about? Your mind will be directed to the information that's useful, okay? There's no right or wrong, doesn't matter. Like we'll go into other lifetimes for this. Like let's say your mind goes to this scene, okay? So you're imagining the scene in your head of you being, and I might be talking about somebody who's watching here, I don't know, or this might be me, because usually the stuff that pops into my head is not random. But let's say you get a scene in your head of what I'm seeing is kind of like Little House on the Prairie sort of looking dress. It's a ranch somewhere. It feels like here in America. And yeah, okay, so there's something that I'm seeing about a woman who is protecting her land. This feels like this is from a movie. I feel like I've seen a movie that's like this. But I mean, this stuff actually happened, So here's the thing. That doesn't mean that I've had a lifetime or this person has had a lifetime where that's true for them and they were that woman. But that's the information that's useful. So we can ask, okay, what do I do with that information to help myself here and now to release this pain pattern in my hip, and then you go from there. So I'm not going to give you all the goodies because I want you to work with me. But, it really is, again, like I said, it's about opening up the dialogue with body, mind, and spirit and understanding that all the information that you could possibly need is there. It's all stored there, you are your own Akashic records, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. I don't know if they're stored in some vault somewhere underneath the Sphinx in Egypt, but everything is accessible to you in the quantum field that is you, basically. So that's how I see it. It's based in physics, but so and the experience that I've had with people is that this is true. The training that I have, I've seen so many things happen and change for people that, I guess the world of limitations would say that's fucking impossible, but I'm sitting out, like I've sat there and I've witnessed things happening that are like, what? And I've talked about this in other videos or maybe one other video where I have one on spinal alignment. It's on YouTube, Cynthia Rose Healing Arts. And I used my little acupuncture doll, I call him Fred, and we did a spinal alignment. And I talked about, I'm pretty sure I had unicorn ears and unicorn horn on my head that day. Anyway, it's a good video. And so check that one out. I talked about the experience that I had with a client where I literally watched her spine go into proper alignment. I wasn't even touching her, just simply by accessing, being open. She had to be open and accessing a different possibility state for her, because, activity and movement and adventure was really, really important to this woman. And she had been very limited by the scoliosis pattern that she had going on. So we just found an alternate possibility state for her and integrated it in, and bada boom, bada bing, there you go. She had a great spine. And I see, pictures of her on Facebook here, and she's doing 14ers and all kinds of stuff. So, and that was simply because she had the willingness to be open to something different and to be curious about what was available, and then come see me, and I met her at a music festival. She came over and sat beside me and we started talking. Her husband was a chiropractor and he wasn't able to shift that because, part of it is because he's operating in a limited scope of practice. He's operating in a limited mindset and a limited, and this isn't a criticism. It's just the way it is. He's got incredible training on how to manipulate the spinal column. you know, but he doesn't have training in quantum healing, you know? So, you know, he absolutely, I'm sure, facilitated some aspects of her healing. And it's always an effort that we're doing mutually. And everything that happens for people throughout their lives is necessary. And I guess, you know, part of the divine orchestration. So, yeah. So for any of you who are watching who are curious really about what I do, book a session with me. I'm going to be offering discounted rates right now. I can't work in person, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I worked with a woman online. Okay. Yes, I have permission to, I had to just check in. Do I have permission to talk about this? I do, because she wrote a testimonial. So I worked with a woman online that I'd never met in person, never spoke to at all on the phone or otherwise. My ex-boyfriend had met her, and she was talking about how she had, I can't remember which shoulder it was. I'm pretty sure it was her right shoulder. Her right arm and shoulder were very limited because she had something really yucky going on in her neck. Okay. And it was something that they were talking about performing surgery on, because, but the surgery could have been very, very dangerous for her and created a domino effect of further surgeries needed over the rest of the years of her life. And, you know, she's in her 60s. And to me, she's still a young woman with a lot of life left to live. And because of this limited movement in her arm, it was, you know, for any of you who've ever not been able to use your body in the way that you once were able to, you know, that can be very depressing and upsetting and scary. So again, we never spoke. She reached out to me and I asked her how she wanted to work with me. And she said that she would feel best writing back and forth. So we set a time frame. And we started into session, and she messaged me the information I needed to get started. And I went into her field, and I went into all the information that's in her field. And I also have an understanding of the psychology of this, you know, and I know what the questions are to ask. So I asked her, you know, what are you holding on to that is related to this pain pattern and the stuff that's happening in your neck. And often, you know, our body speaks to us in a really intelligent way. And it's like, okay, so if you can't move your head properly, which was part of it as well, if you can't move your head properly and you can only move from here to here, then your vision is limited. The things that you can see are limited, right? So, you know, what are the things that I'm maybe being a little narrow-minded about in as far as what I'm willing to see? Right. You know, so that is where I go with that. What's the body saying, you know? And through, I don't even think we had to work together very long. I feel like it was maybe an hour and a half that we worked through Messenger online. And within a very short period of time, it didn't even take that whole amount of time, she was able to move her arm almost like normal again. And she went to her physical therapist, and he was like, what? How? What? Like, it's a miracle, you know? And it's like, well, yeah. And we had to do some work to create that miracle. So, you know, yes, sometimes miracles happen spontaneously, but other times it's a very active engagement with the information that's available, and understanding in the cognitive awareness of where we're standing in our own way is really, you know, where are we creating patterns of disharmony and dis-ease in our own lives, in our own headspace. And what are the things that we're holding on to that are creating these pain patterns and disease and all of that. And it's an invitation to reframe the way that we are interacting with ourselves and our experience. And when we do that, that's part of the reason that I can stay well, because my experience is a very mindful and conscious experience. And that is work. You know, I also consider it play, but you know, we don't just go to a healer, okay, and get healed. You're the person who does the work in your own field, you know. And yeah, we can facilitate incredible things for one another through, you know, a heart-centered presence and the you know, the skill set and understanding of how to do this. But the work is up to the person that is coming to the practitioner, you know. And the best practitioner is the practitioner who's doing their work too. And I can say with, you know, humility that I'm doing the work, and it's not always fun. You know, it isn't always fun, but you know, you will never be the same again. doing this work is so vital and important right now for all of us and for the collective. This is where we're headed. We're going into a new frontier here, and I think that Sheldon said that yesterday in our video. Hey, Carrie. And I know, so Carrie's one person who's been a client of mine, and she's had incredible blossoming since we worked together. I've watched her work hard and do so well and embrace her joy and, just really grab life by the horns, and say, and a lot of getting better is saying no to the things that we are interacting with that are not healthy for us. And that can be other people. It can be a job. It can be, a lifestyle, like, our choices of the food that we're putting in our body, substance use, all that kind of stuff. Like, I've had people come to see me who have been smoking for most of their lives since they were like kids. And they come see me. We're not even really talking about smoking, but it's like, well, you want to live a better life? Okay, well, let's work together. Okay. And then they never pick up a cigarette again. And it's like, they're just not interested in it anymore, because the addictive patterns are not really with the substances. That's not the addictive patterns are happening because we're all fucked up inside. We don't know what to do with it, to be blunt about it, and I know I've been there, so I can relate. So yes, girl, you literally started my fire. Ooh, good. Well, we started it together, and that's important. I can't take full accountability for anything that happens to anyone else, because they have to be an equal participant in the magic that unfolds. So you saying yes to me lighting your fire is, I guess, but no, you agreed to light your own fire. And I showed up and accessed the things that you needed to understand in order for you to do that. So, and then you ran with it. And I love to see that. I'm so happy when I see people after they come to see me and they actually do the things that their higher self is asking them to do. And their lives look so much different after, physically, emotionally, mentally, everything. The people that are in their lives after that, and it's pretty incredible what we have the capacity to do when we really do take charge and understanding that this whole experience is based on our free will choices, and the limitations that we operate in are self-imposed. And part of the reason that I can be a practitioner and facilitate these things for people is because I don't align with limited beliefs. I don't align with programming. It's like, it's all, BS, the belief systems, the bullshit. And that, I thank my teachers in this lifetime for that. But I also thank myself for that, because we have to be willing to let go of that stuff and to say, we are so much more than what appears to be true. So the work is the juicy part. Carrie says, oh, it's juicy. All right. And it can be so much fun. Like if I have something show up in my life and I'm like, what's this bullshit now? It's like, oh, giddy, I have more work to do. There's another layer that I can peel back. And then I know that I'll be more free after that. And sometimes the work is fun and enjoyable, but other times the work is not quite so enjoyable, but that's okay, because we can be gleeful and embrace it all and be grateful for it, and it's really about our mindset. What is your attitude? It's huge. What is your attitude about your own experience? And sometimes I got a horrible attitude, and I'm like, okay, well, this isn't going to be helpful for me, but I should probably look at this and why am I feeling and thinking the way that I am right now, with love and care for myself, and be like, well, is this mine or is this not mine? Because sometimes we're picking up on the attitudes of people that are in our field and we get pretty grumpy, and it's like, who is this person right now? I don't even know her, but we're entangling in a quantum fashion. So, the way we do. So Carrie's saying the very cool part is actually seeing a pattern in our behavior. Yeah. And then being able to change. It's really cool. Yeah. It's really cool and again, it's self-awareness. Becoming self-aware is the key to all of this, but becoming self-aware in a loving way. Self-scrutiny can be really loving, if we're doing it with kindness toward ourselves and an understanding that it's okay. We can do that. We don't have to sit in judgment of ourselves. We can just be with whatever we're experiencing and actually be grateful for that and go, okay, all right, this doesn't feel good, but something's going to come out of this, you know? And again, I've been doing this myself for a long time. So, and having this awareness is incredible that we can be in charge, you know? And that was one of the first messages that came in back in 2014 when I had this massive shift. It was like this epiphany that was like the most simple understanding that you could possibly imagine. Like this is some, you know, new thing that my experience is founded on my own free will choice. It's like, you get to choose. And I'm like, holy shit, I can choose. You know, it's like we live in a world that tells us that we don't have a choice. And there's a lot of reasons that we feel that way. You know, we don't have a choice in how we're educated in the public school system. We have no choice. You know, and you look at how differently all of us learn and interact with our experience. And yet we go and we sit in these little uncomfortable desks all day and we're told how to learn. You know, we're taught how to integrate information. And a lot of it is just memorizing and regurgitating. And you know, hopefully a part of this global event will be, you know, a recalibration and a reestablishment of the way that we educate our family, our human family, not just children, but that's very, very important, you know, and maybe creating something completely new here that's actually going to be beneficial for us and for the world going forward. So I have some pretty big hopes and dreams for what will transpire on the other side, you know, during this time. And, you know, we're setting the stage and the foundation for a whole new way of being here. And we have a lot of people on the planet who have, you know, a similar, if not the same understanding that I have, you know, and this is an awareness that didn't come from a book. It came straight from my inner being, you know, or source, if you want to call it that. But source isn't outside of us. It is what we are, you know. And I thought I was the first person on the planet to know this stuff too, because I'd never heard any of that stuff before. And I'm like, what? I got to share this information with everybody. I'm the only one that knows this. So I was all woke and stuff, you know. So, you know, that was a very cool experience. It was pretty mind-blowing, but it also felt like, of course, you know, of course, this is what's real and true, because it feels real and true when we experience truth. You know, we can feel it in every cell of our body, and we can feel truth. It rings, like I've said this before, it rings like a mission bell in every aspect of our being. And if we get goosebumps, I call them truth bumps, you know, chills from head to toe when we encounter truth. And, you know, use your body as a barometer for what's true and not true during these times. There's a lot of bullshit out there. Hey, Trevor, thanks for joining. And Amber, hi, guys. Hi. So, yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. There's a lot of people that are talking about stuff like they know what they're talking about, and none of us really know. You know, there may be some people that know what's going on, but you know, it's like, what really matters right now? You know, what really matters right now is what we are choosing within ourselves to do with this. You know, who are we being? What choices are we making? What impact are we having on our own lives and on the lives of the people around us? And then in such, you know, how are we affecting and impacting the collective? Are we absolutely enrobed in fear and panic? Are we letting that take over right now? You know, and if you are, please do reach out, because there is help available for you. If you are feeling panicked, if you are in, you know, post-traumatic stress and you don't know how to get yourself out of it, you know, I'm here, okay? But there are also a lot of other healing practitioners who are very skilled that can help you, okay? Because we need to go into the information that's in your field and help, you know, disintegrate some of that stuff and bring it back into harmony. And no, not a lot of people know how to do that. Okay. So reach out, please. If you're in that state, you don't need to stay there. I have a lot of compassion for those of you that are there. Because if I didn't have the awareness that I did now, I might be more scared. You know, I'd probably be pretty terrified right now. And I'm very grateful that I'm not, you know. So again, you know, what will determine what comes out of this is the choices of each individual. and we have the power to choose. That's the gift. So we can choose what we do with this, and we can choose to see the gift in this and say, what am I seeing that maybe I was blind to before? I wrote a piece yesterday that made me weep, because it felt straight from something greater than myself. And, walking through the grocery store, and instead of bitching and complaining about not being able to find the things that we have taken for granted for our entire lives, be grateful that you're being shown that you've taken things for granted, and sit with how that feels for you. It doesn't feel very good, and that's good. It shouldn't. What are the things that you've taken for granted in your life that now are gone? Something as simple as toilet paper, like, really, if that gets us as worked up as we're worked up right now, we have our priorities so fucked up, so let's look at our priorities, and let's look at what really matters now, what's important, and not just what's important to us, but what's important as far as how we are choosing to be as a human being, and the impact that that's having on the rest of the world, not just our human family, but the rest of the world. Is so important right now. This is a wake-up call, and it's a little one. Compared to what it could look like, this is tiny, okay? This is just Mother Earth clearing her throat. And we created this virus, okay? It's part of us. So as a creative consciousness, there's a wisdom to this that we can either see or be blind to. So I would implore each and every one of you to see the wisdom and what it is that we're really being shown here. All right. If you haven't read my piece that I wrote yesterday, please do. It's very powerful. It doesn't come from just me. So I was going to read it live, but when I started my video, I was definitely not in the rah that I needed to be to read that. So it's my lion coming out. So hopefully that was helpful and informative to all of you. And I'm so grateful that those of you who joined, shared your morning with me. The video is the perfect length. So if you can, as you move forward in your day, please align with gratitude and, an awareness of what are the things that I've taken for granted? Who are the people I've taken for granted? What are the repairs that I need to make right now, that I can make right now? Because maybe you have a little extra time. Who do you need to forgive, and who do you need to ask for forgiveness? Let's do the work. Okay, let's use this time to do the work so that on the other side of this, we're coming out in a more harmonious way. And think about some of the things, what can you contribute right now to your human family and to the planet that maybe you've been wanting to and haven't, or maybe you get some new ideas, but please contribute something, not just to yourself, but to one another. Okay. And this is my gift to you, along with the other things that I'm doing and working on that nobody's seeing. And I've been doing some free work as well. I'm still working on the card readings because I need to honor my need for rest and relaxation. And I'll get those to you as soon as possible for those of you who are still waiting for that. Okay, I'm just doing intuitive readings with it now, and they're pretty cool. I'm getting good feedback. So, okay, thank you to all of you who shared your morning with me. And for those of you watching later, please reach out via PM here on my page or on Cynthia Rose Healing Arts. And I'm also posting my videos on YouTube. So please subscribe to my channel, like my videos so that more people can see the content that I'm posting, because I do feel like the information that's coming through is valuable for all of us. Okay, so I love you all so much. And Bear says goodbye. Llama says goodbye. Thanks for joining. Have a beautiful day, all y'all. All right, go outside and play if you can. Bye. Bye, everybody.